You need to understand that there are three distinct stages to any successful conquest of the market. First, there is the siege where you identify your target and prepare your resources. Second, there is the skirmish, the period of unstable growth, where you are learning the terrain of battle through trial and error. Finally, there is the sovereignty, where you achieve mastery and begin to dictate the terms of the game. Most people fail because they treat these stages as a leisure activity rather than a military campaign. I am telling you now, a small group of you watching this will command over $100,000 in income by the time this year is up simply because you chose to stop playing and start winning. We are going to break this down into 15 tactical steps to secure your wealth in exactly 12 months. Step number 1 is the declaration of total war. You must decide that every other interest, every hobby, and every social obligation falls second to this primary objective of financial dominance. Machiavelli once noted that he who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner affects his ruin than his preservation. To avoid ruin, you must adopt a wartime calendar. If an activity does not directly generate capital, sharpen a lethal skill, or maintain your physical vitality to keep you in the fight, it is a distraction that must be eliminated. For the next year, you are not busy, you are building a fortress. This requires a level of pragmatism that most find repulsive. It means accepting tasks that feel beneath your dignity, living far below your current status, and grinding at a side project while your peers are out spending money they have not earned. The true secret of the elite is what I call embarrassment tolerance. To climb the social ladder, you must be willing to be mocked by those standing on the bottom rungs. Think about the early days of Jeff Bezos, working in a converted garage with a desk made out of an old wooden door. To the average person, he looked cringe or delusional. But he understood that it is much safer to be feared than loved. And in business, the ultimate form of being feared is being so successful that your former mockers can no longer afford to speak your name. If you can handle looking foolish for a year, you can live as a master for a lifetime. You need one single metric to judge your progress. Set your sights on $10,000 a month. This is not a dream. It is a mathematical target. Take a notebook and write down the date exactly 1 year from today. By that deadline, you will hit that 5-figure mark. Before you go any further, join our growing community of high performers by subscribing. We are building a tribe of individuals who refuse to accept mediocrity, and your presence here ensures you are surrounded by the right influence as you grow. Step number 2 is to arm your mind. You are not wealthy yet because you lack the fundamental laws of power and commerce. Stop being arrogant and start studying. Machiavelli taught that a prince must read histories and consider the actions of eminent men to see how they conducted themselves in war. You will buy 5 specific books and master 1 each month. Start with the Almanac of Naval Ravikant to understand the philosophy of leverage. Follow it with the 10x rule to calibrate your level of aggression. Then read the E-Myth Revisited to learn how to build a system rather than just a job for yourself. Finally, consume 100 million offers and 100 million leads as a single manual on how to dominate a market, and use Atomic Habits to automate your discipline, so you can execute even when your spirit is weak. Do not just skim these. Treat them like intelligence reports. Take notes like your life depends on it, because your financial life does. This is the stage where you learn the language of the 1%. Consider the story of a young Napoleon Bonaparte. While his peers were drinking and chasing fleeting pleasures, he was obsessed with studying the maps and logistics of past conquerors. When the opportunity for power finally arrived, he did not have to guess what to do. He simply executed what he had already mastered in his mind. If you want to join the elite, you must first think like them. Did you order the books? Good. Now you are ready to look at the weapons already in your arsenal. If this philosophy of strategic focus resonates with you, I want you to head to the comments right now and type the word unwavering to lock in your commitment to this path. Now, once you have committed to the war, you must audit your armory. Machiavelli famously argued that a prince should never rely on mercenaries or the arms of others, for they are disunited, ambitious, and unfaithful. In the modern market, your arms are your tools and your skills. Look at your current inventory. Do you have a laptop, a smartphone, or a high-end camera? Do you possess technical proficiency in Photoshop, CapCut, or automated workflows? Write every single one down. Now look at that list and strip away anything tied to passion. In the cold reality of the 1%, we do not pursue what we love. We pursue what the market fears to lose. You must select a money skill. Sales, copywriting, media buying, or becoming a closer. These are skills that provide immediate leverage and pay out weekly, not in some distant hypothetical future. Consider the rise of Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle. He did not start by trying to change the world with a hobby. He mastered the high-level skill of database management and sales when the world was desperate for structure. He practiced until his competence became a weapon that no competitor could match. You must do the same. This requires at least 1 hour of deep, repetitive practice every single day, regardless of your emotional state. A true strategist knows that discipline is the only hedge against the whim of fortune. Step number 4 is perhaps the most difficult for the modern ego. You must move in absolute silence. You are currently a new principality, and as Machiavelli observed, people are always ready to change their masters, hoping for something better. But they will also conspire to destroy anyone who threatens their own comfort. Do not tell your friends, your family, or your social media followers what you are doing. They will not understand it. And more importantly, they do not actually want you to win. Your success acts as a mirror to their own inadequacy, and they will subconsciously try to pull you back into the safety of the collective. This is not about being mysterious. It is about protecting your momentum while you are still fragile. Think of the stealth mode used by high-tier tech startups. They do not announce their disruptive tech until they have secured the patents and the funding. They move like the fox to avoid the traps before they are strong enough to act like the lion. If you want to change your life, you must be willing to let your old circle believe you are losing or doing nothing while you are actually positioning your pieces for a checkmate. Before we discuss how to infiltrate the circles of the elite, take a moment to reflect on your current environment. I want you to head to the comments right now and share a reflection. What is one distraction or mercenary influence you are cutting out of your life today to protect your focus? Step number 5 requires you to change your geography, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. A seed cannot sprout in the shade of a dead tree, and your current environment lacks the nutrients of wealth. If it were otherwise, you would already be rich. You must buy proximity to competence. In the 15th century, if you wanted power, you moved to the court of the Medici in Florence. Today, that means trading the nightclub for industry seminars, the local bar for high-ticket workshops, and your old friends for mentors who have already conquered the territory you desire. Take the example of the PayPal mafia. Before they were the titans of Silicon Valley, they were a tight, knit circle of hyper-competent individuals who challenged and sharpened one another daily. They did not just get lucky. They created an ecosystem where success was the only logical outcome. If you have no money, go to every free event where winners congregate. If you have a little, spend it on feedback, not finery. Pay for a coach, a community, or a consultant who can correct your form. This is your personal recipe book for wealth. Every lesson you learn must be documented in that notebook we discussed. You are no longer a student. You are an apprentice to the masters of the game. Now that your tools are sharpened and your mind is shielded by silence, you are ready to identify your first target. But you must be careful. Attacking the wrong market is a quick way to deplete your treasury before the real battle begins. Step number 6 is choosing your prey with clinical precision. In the world of power, there is no virtue in serving the weak. Machiavelli noted that a prince who tries to please the common people who have no resources often finds himself abandoned when the tide turns. You must sell to those who already possess wealth. Do not waste your energy trying to convince broke people to invest. They are governed by fear and scarcity. Instead, target those who view money as a tool. Dentists, corporate law firms, high-end real estate teams, or established digital creators. These people already have budgets and, more importantly, they have urgency. Think about the strategy of Bernard Arnault, the head of LVMH. He did not build an empire by selling to the masses. He acquired brands that serve the patrician class, people who pay for status and speed without blinking. You need a stupid simple offer. One sentence, one deliverable, one timeline, and one price. For the next 90 days, you are a specialist. Specificity creates speed. Tell a real estate agent, I will generate 20 qualified seller leads in 30 days, or you do not pay, and you have a lethal contract. Get yourself a way to take their Tribute, Stripe, PayPal, or a direct wire. Do not obsess over your website or your business cards. A prince does not need a fancy tent to win a battle. He needs a sharp sword and a clear objective. Step number 7 is the race to proof. Your biggest obstacle is not the competition. It is your own lack of legitimacy. You must secure $100 from a complete stranger as quickly as possible, even if it costs you $100 in effort to get it. This is not about profit yet. It is about the first conquest. You cannot learn the art of the deal from a book. You learn it by looking a man in the eye or through a screen, and demanding he part with his capital in exchange for your value. Consider the early career of high-performing elites like the King of Diamonds, Lawrence Graff. He did not start as a legend. He treated every single interaction as a psychological experiment until he found the levers that made the elite say yes. Use adult language. Do not beg. Ask, are we moving forward with this today? Or should I close your file and offer this slot to your competitor? If you fail, do not mourn. Treat it as reconnaissance. You are gathering the missing puzzle pieces of your market. You win this step the moment a person who does not know your name sends you money because they believe in your ability to deliver a result. As you begin to see the first signs of victory, I want to make sure you are mentally locked in. Head to the comments right now and type the words first strike as a quick affirmation that you are moving from theory into action. Step number 8 is codifying the win. Once you find a formula that works, you must turn it into a law. Machiavelli taught that a wise prince establishes laws and institutions so that his state can function without him having to micromanage every detail. This is where you document exactly what you did for that first client. You create the templates, the checklists, and the scripts. You are building a wealth machine so that you can repeat results rather than reinventing them. If you look at the operations of a company like McDonald's in its early days under Ray Kroc, the genius was not the burger. It was the operations manual that allowed a teenager to produce the same result as a master chef. You need proof of ability. Every time you succeed, capture it. Testimonials, before and after metrics, and case studies are your battle honors. When you show a new prospect what you did for the last one, the sale is already half won. Customers are fundamentally afraid. They fear you will not deliver. Proof is the only thing that kills that fear. The more proof you stack, the higher your rent becomes. You are not just a worker anymore. You are becoming an indispensable asset in their treasury. Now that you have a repeatable process and the proof to back it up, you are no longer a scout. You are an invader, but an invasion fails without a proper supply line. You need a way to ensure that your message reaches the right ears every single day without fail. Step number 9 is about the concentration of force. Machiavelli noted that a prince should never divide his forces if he can strike with a hole in the market. This means dominating a single distribution channel. Most failures occur because people try to be everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, email, an ad, and they end up being mediocre in all of them. Pick one channel and become the loudest voice in that room. Be annoying if you have to. Your biggest enemy is not the competition. It is the fact that nobody knows you exist. Consider how Steve Jobs, upon returning to Apple, slashed their massive product line down to just 4 essential machines. He focused all his distribution and marketing on a narrow target until they owned the mind share of the creative class. You must do the same. Spend the first half of every day promoting. In the hierarchy of power, the one who sells the work is always more important than the one who does the work. Before we discuss the art of hiring your ministers, I want to invite you to join our growing community of modern-day strategists by subscribing. We are building a tribe of high performers who understand that wealth is a byproduct of discipline and power. By joining us, you are ensuring you stay aligned with the 1% who refuse to leave their destiny to chance. Step number 10 is the selection of your ministers. Machiavelli taught that there are 3 classes of intellects. One which comprehends by itself, another which appreciates what others comprehend, and a third which neither comprehends by itself nor by the showing of others. You must be the first class, and you must hire the second class to handle the boring, time-consuming labor that steals your focus. When you have more clients than you can handle, hire someone to do the 80% of the repetitive work. You keep the 20% that matters. Sales, problem-solving, and collecting the tribute. Do not hire a business partner. Hire a contractor. A hire should bring you 3 times the value of what you pay them. If you cannot explain the task in a simple checklist, you are not ready to delegate. Think of the early days of Google. Larry Page and Sergey Brin did not try to manage every server. They hired the best ministers to handle the infrastructure so they could focus on the algorithm that conquered the internet. Step number 11 is to productize your service into tiered packages and raise your prices. Pricing is not a math problem. It is a psychological game. Use anchoring by showing a premium expensive option first so your standard rates feel like a bargain. Provide 3 doors, one for basic value, one for the majority, and one for those who care about status and speed. Avoid the trap of custom work, which is just a job with extra steps. If it cannot be repeated and delegated, it is not a business, it is a cage. To make this point real, I want you to head to the comments right now and type the word leverage as a quick affirmation that you are done trading your time for pennies and are ready to build a machine. Steps 12 and 13 are about the psychopathic reinvestment. You must live like you are broke even when the money starts pouring in. Revenue is not yours. It belongs to the business. Every dollar has a job. It buys speed. It buys better gear to increase quality, or it buys the time of a specialist. Machiavelli warned that a prince who is too liberal with his spending eventually becomes poor and despised. Treat your capital like fuel for an invading army. Reinvest in tools that automate your work and education that fixes your bottlenecks. By the time you reach step 14, you will see where the real money is made. Leverage and ownership. The 1% do not ask, how do I work more? They ask, who owns the value and how can I scale it? They understand arbitrage, getting something cheap and selling it at a premium through strategic value. Finally, step 15 is the realization that success is a question of volume, not inspiration. Business is math, not art. You do not need a new idea every week. You need to upgrade your reps. Rich people treat their business like a factory. Same inputs, same process, predictable outputs. The realistic timeline is a bitter pill. You will see money in year 1. But it takes 3 years to find your footing and 10 years to become an overnight success. Time will pass regardless. You might as well spend it becoming a master of your financial destiny. This framework is what every million-dollar earner used, even if they only realized it in retrospect. Now it is your turn to act.